Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're jumping right into what is arguably the most anticipated entertainment product in history, Grand Theft Auto 6. We aren't just talking about a new game here, folks. We are looking at the promise of a technological leap so massive, it's fundamentally changing how simulated open-world environments are even built. The ambition happening behind the scenes is absolutely staggering.
Okay, let's dive into this. How exactly is the developer building a simulated world so incredibly smart and so ridiculously dense with detail that it actually threatens to bottleneck the sheer processing power of modern consoles like the PlayStation 5? Well, that is the exact tension we're unpacking today, and fair warning, there's a pretty fascinating reality check coming at the end of this explainer. Here is a quick look at our roadmap. We'll be covering 1. The next-gen open world, 2. Smarter surviving NPCs, 3. A relentless wanted system, 4. Expanding the map illusion, and finally, 5. The real-world hardware tax. All right, part 1, the next-gen open world, setting the stage in Leonida.
You see, the state of Leonida isn't just one static city. It's a sprawling, living ecosystem. You've got the bustling heart of Vice City, the laid-back island lifestyle of the Leonida Keys, and the incredibly dense, treacherous swamps of the Grass Rivers, which is essentially their version of the real-life Everglades, completely packed with local wildlife. Then you have the rundown vibe of Port Galhorn, the industrial sprawl of Ambrosia, and the massive Lake Leonida. But here's the catch. Because this terrain is naturally flat, it's based on Florida, after all, developers have to use some seriously clever tricks to make this diverse map feel distinct and totally endless.
Moving on to part 2, smarter surviving NPCs, the brains. To really grasp the brains of this new world, we gotta look backward for just a second. Think about the core problem with older games. In GTA 5, you basically had dumb AI. Those NPCs rely on simple, frame-by-frame collision avoidance. If you turn your camera away, poof, they literally despawn from existence just to save CPU power. But based on recently surfaced tech patents, GTA 6 introduces persistent NPCs. These characters have actual schedules relayed by a central server. That means they continue to exist and travel to their destinations even when they are completely out of your sight. And that brings us to what the patents call situational awareness AI. This isn't just about them driving in a straight line anymore. This system allows characters to remember previous frames and dynamically react to their environment. So if there's a huge multi-car pileup on the highway or a sudden torrential downpour that makes the road super slick, these NPCs won't just blindly drive into danger like they used to. They perceive the heavy traffic, they react to the weather, and they actually adapt their routes in real time. But here is where it gets absolutely wild. Each driver on the road has a unique driving profile. Picture this. You're speeding down a residential street and it starts to pour rain. The NPC in front of you? Well, they might have a terribly low driving skill level and custom, much slower braking times. When they panic and swerve poorly on the wet asphalt, it creates a completely dynamic, unpredictable hazard for you. It's a real game changer. It fundamentally alters the game's realism, turning every single random driver into a unique thinking variable. That brings us to part 3, a relentless wanted system, the Brawn. Because a smarter world obviously means much smarter law enforcement, we're getting a complete dispatch overhaul. Contrast this with older games where cops just kind of magically spawned out of thin air right behind you. Now, a crime actually has to be witnessed. Then a dispatch countdown timer activates. When it hits 0, the police don't teleport. They actually have to physically travel from their current location all the way to the crime scene. This gives you a really realistic, nerve-wracking window of time to make a clean getaway. But man, once they do arrive, leaks are pointing to some major tactical upgrades. The police AI will now intelligently lower its stance to perfectly match the exact height of the cover they're hiding behind. They can shoot dynamically while moving left and right. There are even reports that cops will literally lock onto your specific clothing and physical traits. Yeah, changing your outfit actually matters now. And if you get caught, you might find yourself in a fully integrated, functioning prison system where you have to serve a sentence or scrape together bail. And for those of you who just love to push the absolute limits, leaks strongly suggest the return of the legendary 6-star wanted level. This represents absolute, unmitigated chaos, triggering military-grade responses. We're talking heavy assets like tanks literally rolling down the streets of Vice City. All right, part 4, expanding the map illusion, the canvas. So how do the designers make an incredibly smart world feel infinitely large? Since Leonida is mostly flat, the devs rely heavily on what are called loading corridors. These are specific physical bottlenecks built right into the environment, like the massive Lake Leonida up north, or those long winding bridges connecting the keys. They are explicitly designed to subtly slow your movement down. This accomplishes two crucial things. First, it creates a powerful psychological illusion of vast distance. And second, it buys the console crucial seconds to seamlessly load the incredibly dense background assets coming up next. It's like a giant puzzle happening right under your nose.
And when you take to the skies to bypass those corridors, you're going to notice an obsessive level of detail. It shows just how realistic traveling across this massive map will be. The Maverick helicopter now features a realistic three-window design and finally puts the pilot on the right side, matching its real-world counterpart. The Shamal jet boasts accurate thrust reversers and even static discharge wicks on the wings. And the Dodo seaplane features a meticulously detailed carburetor air intake. The attention to detail is just off the charts.
Compounding all that aviation realism is a brand new weather engine pushing volumetric clouds, intense sheets of rain, and blurry visibility at high altitudes. And this isn't just about looking pretty. It actively disorients you when you fly high up, which brilliantly expands the illusion of scale and makes the world feel massive and wonderfully untamed.
Which leads us to our final section. Number 5, the real-world hardware tax, the toll. Here's where we pivot sharply to the real world, because running the ultimate simulation comes with an ultimate cost. And that number is 30 frames per second. Because of the massive, unprecedented CPU strain from that persistent AI, those unique driving profiles, and the advanced physics we just discussed, the reality check here is that the base PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X are highly likely to be capped at 30 frames per second. The CPU simply cannot crunch that much simulation data fast enough to hit 60. To overcome these limitations, gamers are walking right into a perfect storm of rising hardware costs, completely driven by broader tech trends. The PS5 Pro could reach up to $900 due to general hardware inflation. On the PC side, the massive AI boom is consuming GDDR capacity, driving GPU prices up 20 to 30%. CPUs have seen a 27% increase from general semiconductor inflation, and SSD storage prices, they are essentially doubling right now due to high demand. And speaking of SSDs, the estimated storage footprint for this game is going to be brutal. The base game alone is projected to take up anywhere between 150 and 200 gigabytes. Toss in another 50 gigs for launch patches, and this single title could instantly eat up half of a standard 500 gigabyte hard drive. That is practically going to force players into really expensive storage upgrades just to install the thing.
Bringing our narrative full circle, the sources really say it best. The amount of simulation content packed into every single frame of GTA 6 is on an entirely different scale, and that is precisely what makes its world feel so vibrantly alive. The heavy hardware cost and those lower frame rates are just the direct, unavoidable trade-offs for achieving this unprecedented level of AI and world density. Which leaves us with this final, incredibly provocative thought. Rockstar is building an absolute technological masterpiece that redefines immersion, but it demands a very heavy toll from your hardware. So, will the ultimate open world be worth the ultimate price? Think about that, let us know what you think, and thank you so much for joining this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.